Hello everyone, I'm your host Mariana and you're listening to A Degree Farther, the official podcast of the graduate school at Hood College, where we feature current students, alumni and faculty who are innovators on our campus and in our community. In today's episode, we are with Jared Tomlin, the Stormwater Program Manager at the City of Martinsburg. His previous work included positions in scientific remote sensing in precipitation and vegetation, including 2 terms at the NASA-developed national program. Before pursuing a career change in science, Jared worked in web design and development. He has a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Sustainability from Steepert University and a Master of Science and Graduate Certificate in Environmental Biology and GIS from Hood College. Jared is a proud husband and father of 3. His hobbies include music and all things outdoor, with a specific interest in whitewater rafting. We will talk a little bit about his experience at Hood College and some of the environmental research and projects in which he has been involved, especially the urban tree research. If you are interested in science and environmental sustainability, this episode is definitely for you. I hope you learn a lot. Don't forget to follow us and turn on the notification button to know when we have new episodes. Enjoy it! Hi, Jared. Welcome to this new episode. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited about talking with you. Maybe we can start doing a little bit of background of yourself, like why you study at Hood College and how this experience is being for you.
Sure. So my background, I'm actually a change of career student. I was an IT professional, web professional before starting in my environmental science progression. I got my undergraduate at Shepherd University in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, in environmental sustainability, and that was sort of my sort of exploring the world of the environmental science and trying to find what it is that I wanted to do specifically. I knew that I wanted to go to grad school, but it wasn't until my senior year that I took my first GIS class and really embraced that technology and the amount of helpfulness that it had for the industry. It tied into a lot of the IT stuff that I had in my background, the cartography and the artistry from graphic design was a good fit as well. But I had gotten a NASA, West Virginia NASA Space Consortium grant as an undergraduate. And that was sort of my first inclination that NASA had, jobs in earth science. Outside, I always think of NASA, I think of space. And then during my research for grad schools, I found that Hood had a history of students being sent and participating in NASA's internship programs. So that was, for being in person, for having night classes, which, I'm a family man. I've got a wife and three kids. So having evening classes and that type of schedule while still being able to pursue what I would consider to be very high level, internships and hopefully job opportunities. That was really the big thing that drew me to Hood.
It sounds very interesting. And yeah, I didn't know that NASA had this kind of programs either. It sounds very interesting and very important that they do. So what got you interested in environmental science from the beginning?
I wish I had a great story for that, but most of it was I was working in IT. I was going to school for IT because that was what I was sort of told was, a good money making, good investment in myself. But I found that, even when I went home, a lot of people were asking me, to fix their email or how does a website work. It was just nonstop living in a digital kind of universe. And I really, I had some friends take me fishing one day, and I hadn't been out into the environment, I haven't gone out to do any type of fishing like I did growing up. And that kind of really opened my eyes to think of, life outside of sort of just the digital world. And I feel like if I was going to go to school and if I was going to, pursue a career that was going to be difficult anyway, I may as well do it for something that's helpful, so that I could kind of look back and think, okay, well, that was worth it. Not just, for me in a career, but something that was help the world out a little bit.
That is actually a very amazing answer. It is kind of looking for sense more than just this material thing.
Definitely.
Nice. And how is it being working in environmental science?
It's honestly very difficult. When you read the job description or the description for, a school program, you read, rise up to the challenges and interdisciplinary work and, things like that. But when you're actually in it, it's actually very difficult. If people knew how all the systems worked and how to, sort of best manage those, we wouldn't have this program of study. We wouldn't have environmental professionals at all. But obviously, we haven't figured it all out yet. So, there's always constraints with money. There's always constraints with sort of the will of whatever leadership program that you're in. There's just always a constraint. You don't have unlimited resources. So, it's very difficult to, sort of organize what are the programs that you want to try to support. And then, you kind of have to deal with the fallout, whether it's from, your regulators or really the public is probably the most dramatic when it comes to, scrutinizing your program. So yeah, it's challenging. And the good news is though, and I think I'd mentioned this before, that the other people that I've found, the other people who work in this industry, they all understand. They have the same type of experience trying to work in this field. So there's a great deal of camaraderie, and the amount of sort of traveling and getting to meet with other people really gives you, like you said earlier, like a sense of belonging, a sense of mission, even though sometimes we have to go into, a back room and scream or something.
Yeah, yeah. And it have to be, I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but maybe I imagine it have to be like very hard to find like the balance between helping the environment, but also all this development that is going on around, and the people that is making a lot of technology, and the people that really don't care a lot about the environment. And then, yeah, like this, how I say, like contradiction in the world that exists between environment and money.
At 100%, sort of the environmental science, sort of mantra of people, planet, and prosperity. I think that's really rings true, and I feel like a lot of people think of it as, just planet first. But if you can't get the people organized and you can't figure out a way to make it economically viable, or how to do what you're doing alongside development or progress, it's going to be an impossible task. So you really do have to find the right balance of those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what is going on right now? Are you in any project right now? Where are you doing in this moment?
Probably the biggest thing right now is our internship program. So I work for the City of Martinsburg Stormwater Program. I'm the program manager. I started out in 2018 as an intern, and I worked myself all the way up sort of to running the program, which is now a utility. But we just started our summer interns again this year. So this will be our 5th year of internships, and each year the program grows, and we try to do give at least some of the same background or some of the same development opportunities to these interns that I had at NASA or at my other internships, because getting people, very, very, very capable people into the field and giving them that foot in the door sometimes is a game changer in terms of people's career. And it's we've had a proven record of getting qualified people into environmental jobs through our internship. So we're really excited to see what they're going to be able to pull off this year. That's always each year it continues to get more projects done, and specifically it'll be one of the teams will be working on the urban tree canopy project, which was my internship last year, for sort of organizing data and collecting tree data for our urban tree canopy, and working with the Martinsburg Shade Tree Commission, who are the folks in charge of getting trees in the ground. So they went from having no technical ability in 2019 to being able to have sort of the full flight of GIS tools and technical support from our interns that we have now. So we're going to turn some of the data management that I did last year into sort of full-fledged program, so that we can work with the Shade Tree Commission.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love how you combine the IT part, like the technological part, with the environment and making all these great projects. Maybe if you can share with us information you have about this urban tree research, or yeah, the results, or anything that I can maybe share in the caption of this podcast so people can look for it and learn a little bit more about this, that will be great.
Yeah, so urban trees, urban forestry is essentially the treed canopy that you see within urban built environments. So it's quite a bit different than traditional forestry, where you have rivers and lakes and trees. The trees only are allowed to exist in areas that are convenient for us as humans, because we want to drive on the roads and walk on the sidewalks. But when you remove all of that environmental services that a tree provides, that's shade, a place for critters to live, you have stormwater, infiltration and interception, and obviously trees are just nice to have. In neighborhoods that it increases property values, it increases quality of life. So there's a lot of reasons why to like urban trees, but it's actually quite a difficult task to get all of the people involved in planting, managing, buying and maintaining trees over the long run. So yeah, that's kind of like the urban tree, I guess, problem, as it were. And we're just trying to do what we can here in the city to get caught up with some of our other cities that are doing very much the same thing.
Yeah, and it's also something that maybe people that live in the cities, like, we don't really think a lot about it. Like, you just see the trees and it's nice, and it's nice to hear the sound of the birds that are in those trees, and you're looking for a house and you love that there's trees around, but you're not really thinking like how valuable they are and how hard it is that those trees are there, and how important it is to maintain them. So yeah, I think it's very important to make conscious about this.
Yeah, and I think one of the takeaways from the study that I did over the summer, the work that I did over the summer, is we identified places where we really wanted to plant trees, but there was actually no infrastructure there. So there was no curb and gutter, there was no grass strip, and these were usually in sort of the underprivileged neighborhoods that not only they did not have trees already, that's why it came up on our map, but it did not, we weren't able to have opportunities to plant trees because there wasn't infrastructure there. So it's a matter of sort of going back and reassessing how we address infrastructure priorities for some of these neighborhoods that allow us to be able to then put trees in there and kind of bring those neighborhoods back up to some of the other places in the city.
Wow, that's great. And well, how you feel like that the graduate school that of Hood College help you with all these projects and all these studies that you're doing, and amazing work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a sort of non-traditional student coming back to college, and I would say I was an extended non-traditional student at grad school. But I was really, with the time that I had, as a graduate at Hood, uh, I was pushed pretty. I feel like I was pushed to sort of excellence, because there was no sort of faking the funk. There was no, kind of walking through the line. Everything was yeah, you really had to know what it is that you were talking about, and you really had to prove that you knew what your perspective was. And I think if you have that type of sort of training, as it were, then getting into some of these advanced, places like NASA, um, not only was I able to go to NASA and be part of that, I stood out. I got an award for it on during the first year. The second year that I went to NASA, I was able to become, a leader. And these are all things because I'm used to, standing in front of people and being able to explain to myself, whether it's a talk or in a training or something along those lines, and be confident in front of a room, but also be able to explain stuff to somebody who maybe not have the same background of experience that I do. So really, it's a lot of soft skills, obviously a lot of knowledge, in terms of what's in the book. But I learned a lot about networking, and I learned a lot about, how to build a career outside of, sort of just checking boxes in your educational, universe, and how to turn that into something that can actually, be a real career for me.
Yeah, I'm actually learning a lot from you right now with this conversation.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. That's why I was happy to do this podcast, because I love talking about it. Of course, I just graduated, so I feel kind of on cloud nine. So I want to talk about it anyway. But I'm glad.
Yeah, and yeah, talking about this, what advices you have for students interested in this environmental science and in all these that we are talking about, maybe these urban tree projects, and what are the advices you have for the future generations?
I'd say if you're thinking about something along those lines, then definitely go and talk to people. People in the profession that I work in love talking about their jobs. So if you're able to go to a job fair, or go to any of these presentations where people are talking about the work that they've done, I think that's a really good way to kind of get your foot in the door. Do an internship. And just try to learn, to meet people, because that's really what's going to, open up, your opportunities in the future. And sometimes you might find you get into something and you just don't like it, and that's totally fine. A lot of times you don't want to end up going to 4 years, 2 years, 4 years, 8 years of school, just to find out on the other end you never wanted to, you don't like doing that. But in the terms of, urban trees, I think I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but they're definitely having a harder and harder time finding foresters in general, people who know enough about trees to be able to give us advice on what types of trees and where to plant them. So that's definitely an industry that could use sort of a bolster from youngsters, or change of career folks. And I think the same thing goes for stormwater. So many people, including myself, had no idea that stormwater, and the environmental regulatory system behind it is an absolutely a career option for people in the environmental field. That's local government, county government, regional government, NGOs, federal government, they all have a piece of that stormwater pie. And there's a lot of great jobs that are available there that I think should definitely be considered for people who are coming in undergrad or graduate, or again even change of career. We've had a number of change of career interns now who are working for us, who have all these skills they learned and whatever their other professions were, be able to find a great deal of sort of happiness, working inside and then working outside and then working inside and then you're walking in a stream and then you're flying a drone, and then you're looking in a pipe. So there's always fun stuff to do. So
yeah, I think there's so much to do and so much to learn, and it's especially good when you find what we talked about before, like the sense of doing things and helping. So thank you for that. And we always like to end the conversations talking about a fun fact or something you would like to share about you.
well, I'm not going to share the same one that I shared on my write-up, but I did make mention earlier about I went to high school in Okinawa, Japan. I grew up a Marine dependent, and I that's where I went to high school, was in Japan, and I learned how to sail and scuba dive and do all the things in nature that I was missing out on in Southern California in the kind of the concrete jungle. And I think that's what really bolstered my love for travel and my love for nature.
Nice. Thank you so much again. It was great talking with you, and thank you for all what you're doing for the environment.
Thank you. Anytime.
Thank you so much for listening to A Degree Further, the official podcast of the graduate school at Hood College, where we help you go further in your life, in your career, and in your community. Be sure to tune in next time and to catch up on all the latest episodes. Visit hood.edu/adegreefurther. I'm your host, Mariana, and thank you so much for listening.